Hey, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. So I wanted to get this story. I saw this come across my wire a couple of days ago. Been kind of busy, but I looked at it, did a little research on the background of this whole city and this little lawsuit. And so I decided to bring it to you because it's a lot in this story. And this is a story I think a lot of Black Americans, and I'm always talking to my people for the most part, need to pay attention to, because this is where, shout out to people like Tone Talks and even, what's her name, Yvette Cornell, which, may not agree with everything they do and how they do things. But when it comes to politics, reparations, money, understand the dynamics of how this country is ran and why we as a whole, our people, really don't have no wealth. We believe we have wealth. We act like we got money, but we really don't have money. You really ain't got money like that. We can have gotta have the Gucci belts and the hair. I'm sounding like Boyce Watkins now. That's a dude that I ain't really trying to sound like, but buy the Jordans. But Boyce Watkins, I doubt he even had Jordans growing up. But anyway, I've had Jordans. So my point is, when I bring up stuff like that, is we try to use that as status symbol because unfortunately that's really all we have for the majority of us. But if we live long enough and we get more experience, get more knowledge, understand how things work, the higher that you get on the economic chain, especially when you work for it, and it takes time for it to happen, not when you become like instant millionaires and make money overnight by signing a contract and somebody give you $1 million, or you making tens of thousands of dollars doing shows or millions of dollars playing a sport. It's not the same. I'm not hating on that because if I could have got it, I would have done it myself. But if you don't have a background understanding about money and politics, you can see you don't see the world correctly, and which is why they say the majority of athletes who retire after they retire, 5 years or so after they retire, they're broke. White, Black, Hispanic, whoever, they're broke because they don't understand like how to budget, how to finance, how money really should be used as, being a tool and not a way to splurge and to, look down on other people. But a story like this shows you, like I said, you may think you got money, but you really don't have money. I tell people a story all the time, and then I get into this, that like my daughter went to, in high school, a couple of public schools, and then she was able to go to a private school, right? Her last 2 years of high school, which helped her get in a certain college, which helped her, anyway. She, went to one public school, regular kids, blah, blah, blah. Kids that like they got money, they had like a Gucci belt, or, might have like a fake Gucci purse, or hair lashes done, stuff like that. I think they got money. Then her sophomore year went to a different school, with people with a little more money, and they wearing $200 and $300 pair of pants. If you ain't got those, then you broke. You ain't got no money, and my kids didn't have that at the time. I was still going to school, trying to get my nursing license. Then her last couple years of school, she went to a private school, a prestigious private school, where one of the kids got in trouble by his parents, and they took away his car, and they told him he had to drive the family car as a punishment. And it was a Porsche Cayenne. How you say it? It was a, what you call it? It was a, it was a Porsche Cayenne. And I'm sitting here like, now I'm driving around in a, 2004 Impala SS barely running. Oh, I tell them a story. Barely running. No heat don't work. Air conditioning don't work. It's the only thing I could drive at the time. Like I say, trying to go through school, trying to make it through school. So had to struggle. You know what I'm saying? Newly off of kind of like a divorce and stuff. Struggling like a song gun. But this dude had, like I said, but this kid, this high school kid, his parents told him to drive the Porsche Cayenne, make sure I'm saying it right, or Cayenne or whatever, as a punishment, and took away his car. I'm like, what the hell kind of car does he got? I say, man, I want to have his parents. I want to be on punishment and have to drive that as a punishment. Also, they did fundraisers, like in our regular schools, kids do fundraising. What do we do? Selling popcorn now, right? That's a big thing. Everybody comes to the job. Everybody comes to sporting events, bringing fundraisers for their kids, selling raffle tickets or buying popcorn. That's a big thing now. And we think we're doing something. We can get 4 or 5 people to buy something. At this school, they were selling $50 raffle tickets because they was giving away a freaking brand new Mercedes. I can't remember what kind it was, but they was giving away a Mercedes. I think it was, $25, $50 one of the raffle tickets. I'm like, and when it came down to the end, when the fundraising was over, they raised $10 million for the school. So when you talk about money, like I said, a lot of y'all, you ain't got money. We ain't got money like that. It's a whole, we're in the game, but for some reason, we're not playing by the same rules, or we don't understand the rules. Let's say that we might be all playing by the same rules, but a lot of us don't understand the rules of the game. Your little, like I say, your little Gucci belt, your little hairstyle, your nails, lashes, your Cadillac, whatever the case may be, grandmama house, ain't none of that going to compare to a school, a small school with maybe like a few hundred people, if that, going from K to 12th grade, raising $10 million, in fundraising to go toward the school. Like, how in the hell can you compete with that? You can't, which is why, like I say, shout out to Tone Talks and people like him who sit there and tell you, like, look, first you got to understand where you're at in the system. Second, you got to understand how the system works. Then you got to understand how to be involved or to get what you need to get. Now, we're going to go to this story. This is from the New York Post. And it reads, wealthy white Louisiana residents win right to split from Baton Rouge and form their own city. First thing I thought about was Highland Park in Dallas. Highland Park is a city inside of Dallas. It got its own schools, got its own police force, whatever. But these are like rich people, rich white people in the middle of Dallas who got a school, it's just made of like wealthy people. It's close to the airport, close to the highway. And you're not going to see too many of us in there. SMU College, I believe, is right there. That's the first thing I think of. But if you don't know anything about Highland Park, look it up. But let's get into this story. It says a group of wealthy white Baton Rouge residents have won a decades-long battle to split from the majority black city to form their own suburb following a state Supreme Court ruling. After reversing a lower court's decision on Friday, the Supreme Court ruled 4-3 in favor of the incorporation of St. George, which will form in southeast Baton Rouge. Man, I've been to Baton Rouge a few times. Baton Rouge is nothing nice to look at for the lot of part. You can ride around, especially close to LSU campus. Man, it's a lot of buildings, abandoned, broke down, a lot of homelessness around the campus. So, like I say, Baton Rouge, she wouldn't have been hotels there, and even the new hotel, I remember going there and saw a doggone me bed bug in the bed. It was a not really new, but it's a newer hotel. The more seasoned hotel, the hotels that's been there for a while, it's what have a prestigious name. They look old and run down. It's just, And like not what you would think, but I think maybe when that hurricane hit like years ago, I think a lot of them cities on that border, on that water, the coast, went down and they never really recovered. But you got to think about, like say Baton Rouge, a lot of cities in the South like that, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, it's a lot of poverty. So it's not a whole lot of money going in to rebuild them cities, but you had to have people come in to rebuild it. But what it's going to do is going to gentrify it. It's going to move a lot of us out, a lot of poor people out into their own little sections, and they'll forget about you. And you won't get see none of that tax money. It said this is a culmination of citizens exercising their constitutional rights. We voted and we won. Andrew Morrell, one of the leaders of the St. George campaign, said in a statement following the victory. Now we begin the process of delivering on our promises of a better city, he added. We welcome both our friends and foes to the table to create St. George. I'll tell you, like a book I just bought. I ain't got the chance to read it yet, so I don't know too much about it, but How to Change the Law. And it says the do-it-yourself manual for regular voters, small business owners, and policy advocates who want to take political action, influence leaders, and change laws. Actionable tools and strategies to help you improve your community, influence your leaders, and impact the world. Quote, become empowered and re-energized to take back politics from special interests. Kevin O'Malley, Chairman, Business and Leadership Forum, Commonwealth Club of California. Wow, California of all places. Would promote this book. But anyway, How to Change the Law. That's what you got to do. You got to change laws, because just protesting, hollering, crying, all that kind of stuff don't necessarily work. We see people do it all the time because they'll let you protest. They'll let you go down, sign a, sign a form or try to get permission to go down somewhere and protest, and they'll let you do it because they know it's just a visual act. It's not really not a whole lot accomplished. That's fine. So now we begin the process of delivering on our promises. Oh, I read that. It says, much like the case with Central, the last incorporated city to be born in East Baton Rouge Parish, the St. George initiative began with hopes of residents starting a new school district before ultimately deciding to create their own city. Although the St. George supporters failed to garner enough votes in 2015, 4 years later, the initiative won the election before it was stalled by a lengthy court battle, the New York Times reported. You know what changed it? I believe, one, Democrats, DEI, Black Lives Matter, George Floyd. White folks got tired of that, and they didn't want to be a part of crime, poor schooling. They got tired of that, so they said enough is enough. We got enough people, enough money, enough political power to start our own city and to be viable with it. And I'm not mad at them. I truly am I'm just truly not. On a human being doing what's best for your community aspect, I'm not mad at them. And it's probably people who like, man, y'all leaving us and taking money. Y'all don't care about us. No, because if I'm going to give, let's just say you driving down the street and you see them homeless folks on, quote, supposedly homeless people on side of the road with a sign and a dog. Because I don't know how the heck every homeless person around here got a dog, because dogs are not cheap. They're like kids. But you got a dog. I guess maybe they usually like to protect them, like when they sleep at night, which, okay, I get that. But they asking for money and you give them money, but they're out there doing this for years. You're like, wait a minute, something ain't right. I remember I gave you money a while back and you still out here. You ain't took that money to maybe save some bread, clean yourself up, take a class, enroll in classes, go to the local library. Library is free. You know what I'm saying? And use one of the computers to take classes and stuff, learn something, learn a trade, and so you can try to get you a job or get you a hotel or somewhere you can stay and clean yourself up and try to, get your job interviews, temp service, all this kind of stuff. So you can do it and you still out here? I'm not. My motto is I am not helping those who won't help themselves. But a lot of times you don't have the resources to help yourself, which is why politics and understand politics and this money part is so important. It says Sharon Weston Broom, she's a black woman, I believe probably is a Democrat, Remember I did videos about how the Democrats put these black women out here saying they're the backbone of the Democratic Party, and you make them the leaders of these cities and these towns and these courts, but yet nothing has benefited the black people in the meantime. Anywho, Sharon Weston Broome, the mayor president leading the combined Baton Rouge and East Baton Rouge parish governments, has sued the St. George organizers, arguing that the split would siphon more than $48 million in annual tax revenue from the local government. The problem is, what are you using that money for? If a person is giving out taxes, and feel that they're not getting anything in return for what they're giving in taxes or a fair share of what they're giving, I cannot be mad at them for wanting to start their own city. Because see, the problem is, like I said before in another video, when you have a part of the population that's wealthy and another part of the population that's poor or deemed to be poor, and let's say they have properties, and in one area, this house can be worth, let's say, I just say $100,000. And then over here in this area, a house with probably the same specs as this house is worth $50,000. The taxes collected are going to be different. You're probably most likely going to collect more taxes here than you are from here. So this part of town will not be built up like it should. But this part of town is pretty much like they're going to get what they want, get what they need for the most part. But then some of that money might have to be used to help out over here, but it won't be a lot. It won't be a lot, but it'll be a little bit. And they're like, shoot, you're taking our tax dollars and making sure that we are taken care of, but yet we're still dealing with crime and we're still dealing with poor schooling systems because we have to, busing and all that kind of stuff. And we don't want to do that no more. If I don't pay so much in taxes, my kids need to get what I pay. Them people over there, y'all figure out what you need to do with them. The opposition also argued that St. George would not have the proper budget to operate on its own. Justice William J. Crane, the author of the majority opinion, disagreed with the city's assessment and claimed that a thriving St. George could even become an asset to the declining Baton Rouge. Despite her long-standing position, Broome conceded the battle on Friday following the Supreme Court's ruling. The NAACP, however, maintained that it fears that the formation of St. George would negatively impact Baton Rouge, major black community. The St. George plan poses significant risk to our education system, threatens the continuity of critical programs, and challenges community representation. The problem is you're taking away a lot of money from Baton Rouge, and that's what they don't want. And that's what they can't afford to happen, because $48 million is a lot of money, especially for a city where there's a lot of poverty. Matter of fact, the St. George plan poses significant risk to our education system, threatens the continuity, and the creation of a new municipality introduces considerable uncertainty around funding allocation for our schools, jeopardizing the cornerstone of our community's future, education. During a news conference Monday at the St. George Fire Department headquarters, Morrell promised the residents that the new city's officials will work to finally set up a new school district, as he acknowledged the challenges to come. Number one, we created a city. We have not created a school district, Morrell said. There are two distinct separate animals. They have separate budgets, separate leadership structures. But I would be dishonest if I didn't tell you what's next on the agenda would be the creation of the St. George School District. So they're trying to separate them rich white people away from you poor blacks. Yes, which is long overdue in a parish that is near dead last, in a state that is near dead last in the country in education. Before the new government can get started, however, Governor Jeff Landry must appoint the city's first mayor and city council members. Residents will vote for the new leaders in the next election cycle, according to the city's website. So there's your problem. These people want their kids to have a great education. In Baton Rouge, you are not supplying it to them. You're not providing them with an education. So they're like, and I'm sure the crime rate is ridiculous. Like I say, it's at the dead last in the state and dead last in education. Again, if I am paying a certain amount of taxes and my kids either are not learning or in an environment where it's hard for them to learn because they don't have the resources to get the proper education, unless I put my kids in private school, I'm gonna want to change. I'm gonna want a real change. And like I said, I'm not mad at them, but here's where the financial effect comes into play. And let me see. I want to go to the U.S. Census Bureau. So, like I say, reading the article, where are we at? Let's go back. So reading this article, what I understood is, let's see. Like I say, they want their own city. Now, what I saw is that the population of St. George was 86,316 people, roughly. Baton Rouge as a whole, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, estimated in July 1st, 2022 was 221,453 people. So you're talking, so when let's hit the calculator up, because we're going to hit the calculator up, because I did a few calculations that we're going to redo it right quick. So we're talking, what did I say? What did I say? 86. We're talking about 86,316 divided by 221,453 equals, that is like 39% of the population of Baton Rouge. My gosh. That's a lot of people. It's not half, but it's closer to half than not close to half. So you're talking about taking their damn near half of Baton Rouge population and taking them away. Now, when you look at the like I said, the population of Baton Rouge as a whole, that you have, like I say, 221,000 people. They said that 37% of St. George's population is, 37% of Baton Rouge's population is white. If you do the math, multiply that out, that's 82,380 people that are white that live in Baton Rouge. St. George's population of white people is 70%, which is 60,421, which means you're taking away, hold on, let's do this again. So that means, let's see, 86,316 minus 60,421. That's 25,000. You leave in Baton Rouge with only 25,000, a little less than 26,000 white people. And the rest is majority black and whatever. But it's like over 50-something% of the population, 52.5% of the population is black in Baton Rouge. And 37.2% of the population is white in Baton Rouge, and then you have all the others who make up the rest of the population. So you're only leaving like 25, like a little less than 26,000 white people in Baton Rouge. You've taken away the majority of your white dollars, the majority, because this city is like a rich white city, right? So Baton Rouge is is in poverty, majority in poverty, and is going to remain in poverty and should not get out of it in no time soon, because you have no resources. You have no resources, because if you had resources to get these people careers, I'm not going to say jobs, because anybody can work at McDonald's and make whatever. But when you have these resources, when you don't have resources to bring your people out of poverty, and then you take away the majority of the resources already that you already have to create a different city, you create big problems. So I was looking at this one article. It's like under kinder.rights.edu, and it said, can incorporation help majority black communities combat the effect of racist policies? Because in the past, and this is what I really wanted to kind of get to. There have been black cities that were incorporated or that remain unincorporated and were trying to be incorporated as their own. But because, let me tell you, as a matter of fact, I want to say in Dayton, Ohio, I don't know the name of it right off the bat, but I remember there was a town, there was a part of Dayton, Ohio, where most of black people live. But Dayton, Ohio had factories, like, like tire factories, car factories, whatever the case may be, in a certain area, and black people lived in that area. And those factories, they were making good money. And you're talking about the 60s, 70s, 80s, those times. And they're making real good money, one income households, guys, take care of their families, kids can go to college. Kids can be in, can take piano lessons and guitar lessons and things of this, flute lessons or whatever, be in sports, extracurricular activities, neighborhoods are good. Money coming to that community. The problem is they saw kind of like probably these white people is, white people see that the money that they have is also being siphoned and put into other communities. And they're like, no, it's disrupting our community. So I work hard. We done went to school. We done got these careers. We're making good money. Why is my money going to these other people? So you have the little towns, little areas that say, we want to become our own incorporated city. Again, there were businesses around there. So they can incorporate a certain area. They can keep that money. And they were denied. And we're talking about like even people like doctors and lawyers and stuff like that. They were denied incorporation because of, like I said, the money was going to be there. What was that city? I want to say it's in Tennessee. I believe that I think Ford was going to build this factory, and where the factory is going to be like on the other side of this black neighborhood, this black part of town, to get to this factory, white folks and everybody else had to go through this black part of town. And the black folks, I think the government were trying to take this city from them and say that, these black people who run the city don't know how to control it. They're in a deficit. And they're just destroying the city. But when they did the research, the black people that was running the city was actually digging the city out of the red financially due to what the former mayors and the council had done, which was ran by white people. They had just took all the money and messed up the budget. So they brought, like I said, the black folk in, and they was building it back up. And then this factory was being proposed being built. And then they tried to take all the power from that city, because one, you're talking about millions upon millions of dollars going into this neighborhood, potentially going to this neighborhood, and them folk not seeing it, and they're not having it. So anyway, so back to the other story. Once, to make a long story short, once the factories start to shut down, jobs going overseas, this, that, and the third, black people losing money and stuff like that. Now, the incorporation was unnecessary, and they just let that little part of town go down by the wayside. And now, it's like the hood, like most former cities and parts of towns where factories and stuff were built and ran. But that's how the politics work. You say St. George, those people have the money. They have the financial ability. They studied law and understand it. They say understood about, like I said, the incorporation and how it can benefit how can it benefit themselves first, because it's about taking care of you and your family first before you worry about anybody else. And when you have Baton Rouge, like I said, with high crime rate, a lot of poverty, education system all shot to hell, you got people, and I don't blame them, like I said, whether white or black or whoever, saying, hey, I don't want to be a part of that. We want to help, but we are not politicians. We don't control the federal funding. So we have nothing. So there's nothing we can do for them. And we can't sit here and continue to drown alongside them. So we got to do what we need to do. You know what I'm saying? And I was looking at some of these comments. Let me see real quick. It says one comment from a guy called Common Sense says, this is just the beginning of many more communities voting to incorporate. Too many once large, prosperous cities have been taken over by far left Democrats that have refused to support law and order, allow schools to indoctrinate children, and squander taxpayers' money. Once this approach gains momentum nationwide, the Democrat power will diminish rather quickly. And that's another thing too. It's like they said, you got people trying to indoctrinate. You got just things that are not conducive to conservative views, or I'm gonna say, or even biblical scriptural views. And folks are just tired of it. They went along to get along for a while and thought, okay, maybe this will pass. It's just a fad. But when you allow, like, let's say like the migrant crisis, or you allowing the LMNOP people to have a whole lot of power to change, try to change, make people change their beliefs in them. They say taxpayer money going overseas and stuff like that. It's just people are trying to find ways to separate themselves from the current status quo. And I don't blame them. Like I said, I don't blame it at all. It says it's happening in Oregon too. Conservative counties are attempting to secede from Oregon and join Idaho. It's called the Greater Idaho Movement, a sign of the times when you have one blue city dominating an otherwise conservative state. People just tired of this. They just are. They just tired of the way things are going, and they know they got to make a change. Nothing stays the same forever. What's the saying go? Time with time comes with change, and change comes with time. It's just that simple. So you can get mad, you can call it racist, but you shouldn't. You shouldn't get mad at them because, hey, they just want what's best for their families. What you should do is try to do what's best for your family and your generations to come. Don't have a whole lot of resources, I understand. But this is where politics and understanding the political game in this country comes into play. I always say we got to teach we got to get our youth going. We got to get them educated more than what the school system is, because we complain about the school system. We say how ratchet it is, how terrible it is. Ain't teaching our kids nothing. Understood. Don't send them there. Or if you send them there, unfortunately, you're gonna have to teach your own kids what you know they need to learn, or send them to camps or the people who can teach them things that they really need to know. Politics and government and money are the big things that they need to be concerned with, because you got to understand what you're voting for. You don't just vote for a political party, you vote for policy. You vote for your local government, your local elections. You vote for things like signing up for things to being able to, incorporate your city, making sure you have the finances to back that. But if you have no money, then what do? Well, you got to find a way to get it. You have to find a way to educate your kids so they can get a proper education, college degrees, trades, whatever, so they can make good money in the future, so they won't be in poverty their whole life. And your kids and your grandkids won't be in poverty their whole life. Teach them how to, invest in like index funds and mutual funds. You don't have to have a lot of money. People think you have to have a whole lot of money to invest in the stock market, but you really don't. And I ain't say like individual stocks. I say mutual funds and index funds. Matter of fact, if I could give you a little tip, and I gave this tip before, if you want to start out real small on individual stocks, look at penny stocks, specifically pharmaceutical stocks. And you look for companies that are creating drugs creating drugs, and you see what stage they are in development. And if they get to a certain stage, you can say, well, shoot, there's a good chance that they might get to the next stage. And then if they get to the next stage, the value of that stock will go up. So you just put in a few dollars, put in a little few dollars, maybe a couple $100, if that, and you just sit on it. That's the thing about getting wealth. You have to invest, and it takes time. Stock goes well, boom, the price of stock will go up, your money, you know what I'm saying, you make a lot of money. But in the meantime, you're studying other, like say pharmaceutical stocks. And when that money blow up, boom, you sell it, you trade it to another stock, and you sell. You might not trade it all because you don't lose, because you want to keep a balance just in case you lose. And you know what I'm saying, you do research, and then the next one come along, you say, okay, I'm gonna invest in that. You put in that, and you sit there and wait. You let your money grow until then you may get a few $1,000s, and then there you go. There's your index fund, there's your mutual fund that you can put in. And then after that, you just just keep buying them or keep putting money into it. It takes time to get to this level that they are at St. George. Depending on the government to give you money, like, yeah, just forget it. I'm not even gonna talk about what the migrants get, because we complain about what the migrants get, but the migrants really aren't getting a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. They're getting enough to get started, but a lot of us are already started. We need much more than what the migrants get. Now, we're upset because they're giving migrants money, and they are giving them as a whole a lot of money and shipping a whole lot of money as a whole overseas. And we're like, man, how come we can't get that kind of support so we can build up our communities and economy? Yeah, that is a problem. I mean, on that note, but like I say, man, it's a lot in this story that you have to read, and then kind of, research incorporations, research, like I said, the book on how to change the laws. You have to go to your city council meetings, your school board meetings, all that kind of stuff that affects you and your kids. Because when you on the inside and you pay attention and you study, then you can see how the tides are going. And then it's like, okay, we need to make a change because this is not going the way we want to. And no one's here to help us, so we got to help ourselves. But you better get on your government, and you better look for that. Better holler for that reparations a whole lot sooner than later. But anyway, tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below. Let's dialogue. Let's have an intelligent conversation. You know how we do it around here. Hey, don't forget, support the channel. 4 ways you can support it non-monetarily. You can like, share, comment, and subscribe. However you do it, takes a couple of minutes out your day. It helps boost the channel and the algorithm, where you can get the message out to more people. If you want to support monetarily, you can do super chats or super thanks. And you can also click in the links in the description box. There are ways you can support there. However you support, either way, hey, I thank you. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. And with that being said, I leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.